You're listening to the Help, I'm a Contractor podcast with Seth Lewis. This podcast is dedicated to helping hardworking contractors share ideas with other contractors. Seth is educated through the School of Hard Knocks, a contractor, business coach, and author. Seth helps contractors break through recurring challenges by helping them study themselves first. Seth's unique approach is guaranteed to take you from your current reality to your business dream. Learn more at www.startthemo.com. Here is your host, Seth Lewis.
Hello and welcome to the show. I'm excited. I have Shane Leever on the show today. And one of the things that Shane's going to talk about is maximizing your offer. As owners and contractors, if you can sell your customer more, it's good for them. It's good for you. So I'm not going to wait any longer. I'm going to bring Shane on the show and let him tell you about his business and how he's done this. So Shane, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Seth. I'm really excited to be here. We had a quick phone call, a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, this guy's got something special. So really excited to be on and speak with you a little bit about our industry and how we can help others.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I think it's so important as contractors that we share our knowledge. And, when we talked earlier, I'm just appreciative that you come on and share some of the different things. You have RoofX Solar and a lot of other businesses. And when we were talking, you were sharing about how you're passionate about adding, offers and making a package deal, making the experience better for customers. But I want to start back to your roots. How did you get into construction or service, or just tell us about you?
All right. So it starts in college. I did this internship called College Works, where this company teaches you how to run your own house painting company. You knock on doors. I had no idea we'd be knocking on doors, so I wouldn't have signed up in the first place. The first day, they're like, all right, man, here's the pitch, go. And I was like, wait a minute, I thought this was cooler than that. So I got exposure to knocking on doors. I was really excited and enthusiastic, so I got a ton of leads. And then it turns out I was the worst salesperson in the country. I went 1 for 47 in my estimates, in painting estimates. Not a hard thing to sell. It's like $2 or $3 grand back in the 10 years ago. My buddies still talk about it today because they were in the same internship and they were around, but I was terrible and they used me as an example. But I saw that if my friends could do this, I can do this. That's just what I kept telling myself, is like, if they can do it, I can do it. I got to figure it out. Everyone has a different puzzle to solve. I can do this. I just got to figure it out. So 1 for 47, right? It's kind of like I was naive and blind to how bad I was. Just like most people should quit at that point. I didn't, thank God, because I turned it around and I learned how to sell really well by being more of myself and more comfortable in my own skin. A lot of self-development happens in business. You have to develop yourself. That's one thing I'm big in, is develop yourself and what you're good at, double down on what you're really good at, but constantly develop yourself. So I developed myself. I became a good salesperson. I ended up winning a trip that year in the same internship. So, worst to first sort of scenario. And my friends were like, cool, man, I don't know how you did it, but you did it. And that's how I got started. And then I started my own house painting company. I didn't finish college. I showed my dad my first big check, $5,000. Dad, I made this much money this month. Please let me drop out. I'll do it anyways, but I want you to be aligned with me. He goes, all right, man, you go. That's a big check. Go for it. So I dropped out. I started my first house painting company. I started hiring high school kids to knock on doors in my own neighborhood in Colorado, and created actually some of my long-term business relationships with those high school kids that I still talk with today. I was just in a wedding of one of them. So it's kind of funny how business relates to, your personal life, and you never know what's going to happen. I moved to Miami with my best friend. I sold my first company. I sold a house painting company to my best friend, not for very much money. I just wanted to leave, and he's like, I'll buy it from you. I'm like, great. So sold my first company, moved back, learned the window business. So I started selling windows for another company, learned that business, started my own window company. The pandemic hit, I shut everything down. I tried to do all this other stuff that I shouldn't have in the SaaS world, B2B world, software world. Learned a lot, and I actually use a lot of what I learned in my prospecting, marketing, and speaking with business owners today. So it was valuable, even though it was a hardship. It was a tough time for me in the first year of the pandemic because I wasn't making money and I was switching everything. But then I went back to my roots of look, I know how to run a home improvement company. You can do solar virtually. You can partner up with all of these other companies that are still in front of your ideal homeowners, create partnerships with them and have everyone flourish. And that's Seth, how kind of you and I started speaking, is like, so how do you set up these partnerships and help other owners amplify their offer, right? I'm a big believer that you have to add value. You have to add immense value to another business owner to actually partner with them and be aligned. So that's what we went to work on. My team and I were like, how do we add immense value to roofers? First of all, let's start with roofers. Roofers are solar company's best friend if done properly and if created properly, because everybody can win and be happy. And you don't have to be greedy. You don't need all of the commission and profit in every deal. It's actually easier if you don't do it that way. And we can talk about that later. But that's how I started about a year ago. I started doing this about a year ago, getting into solar and partnering up with roofers. And that's kind of my, I could talk about each and every business of mine in depth, but that's kind of the overall like summary of how I got started. And man, I've met a ton of great people, and I think this, the home improvement industry has it's untapped as far as how people are structuring their business and partnerships.
A lot of great points there. I want to go back to one of the things that you said earlier that I think is so key is the self-development and growing yourself. So when you said that, I'm really curious to see, what did you do? Because not everybody knows what to do in that scenario. Where did you turn? What did you look for? What did you develop? If it's sales, what did you learn in that time period?
Yeah, so developing yourself, I think you have to develop I like the perspective that you're either getting better or worse. That way you're not stagnant, right? Because you can get to a certain level. Like if I stopped developing myself now, I've gotten myself to a certain point, I'd be okay, right? But I wouldn't explore what's possible. So initially I started reading books. I started taking notes. The first book I read was The Sales Bible by Jeffrey Gitomer. And I took like 3 things away from that I took to every sale. And it was like creating a long-term relationship with everybody was kind of like my point with every homeowner, which kind of led to how I offer things now, And there was 2 other things that I don't even remember, but I remember the 3 things. I wrote them down and I'd bring them to every sale. So I was a practitioner of what I was reading. And when I read books, most people just read books. But what's the intention of reading that book? Right? You can create a context for yourself in which you can pull them. Like if I read your momentum book right now, I guarantee I would pull as many distinctions out of that book as possible. And I would want to use them. So I'm a slow reader. There's a lot of, how do you read books fast out there? I don't know how these guys do it, Seth. I'm like, read slow, man. Slow down, pull everything out of that book. So you would be my teacher. You would be my professor if I read that book. That's the context I would create. Seth knows stuff I don't know. I need to pull everything out of that book that Seth knows. So that's how I would read books. And then I would bring those distinctions that I create for myself to my business meetings, to my leadership meetings, to being in front of a homeowner, practicing it with my wife now, my family. But like, you got to practice it. It's all a practice in developing yourself.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's just one of those things that I don't think people pay enough attention to. That's one of the things I'm very passionate about, is combining the you part with the strategy. Because when you don't have that you part and you don't work on that, your strategy is not going to work. So, I would just want to say great job, because, that momentum that you have experienced and have been a part of is because I believe, you invested in studying the you part and looking at you. So that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man. And one thing that came to me while you were saying that is, when you develop yourself, what you develop is trust. So people trust you because they know that you're developing yourself and you're not going to let stuff slide. You're not going to be sleazy and slimy, because how easy is it to operate like that in the business realm? It's kind of almost always there. It's like the vortex of business is, you don't have to return calls. You don't have to return texts. You don't have to return emails. You can hide money from your employees. You can hide money from your partners. But if you establish yourself as someone who's 100% trustworthy and will right the wrongs and will be transparent with you, then people will want to work with you.
Absolutely. 100%. I want to look at the value add. So all of contractors or service businesses have an opportunity to do this. And I really believe it's lacking in how we operate. There's so many great ways to do it. And I would love to hear first about what you're doing and how you combine the two. So roofing and solar. What's funny about it is it makes complete sense, but I don't think that contractors think about partnerships. I usually call them channel partners, but there's a lot of different names, value add with what you do. So how did you come up with that? And then if you could maybe give some tips or examples, or maybe use a different example and we can just brainstorm live here. What can other industries partner with that might be good fits?
Yeah, perfect, Seth. So, okay, so I'll start with what we do and why we do it. And a big shout out to Brian LaRue. He's one of my business partners. He helped me come up with this idea. I always shout him out because without him, it wouldn't be possible. So what we do is I discovered that roofers, one of my good friends is a roofer. He gave us 10 leads. We closed like 6 of them. I was like, hang on, what? How does can we do this again? So, I developed a sort of a streamlined process of how to do this. So I realized early on, most people know this at this point, that roofers can get solar leads very easily. It's obvious, right? You're right there in front of a homeowner. You just did the roof. They don't have solar and they trust you. Okay. So what I do is I speak with roofers and I go, look, do you want to actually learn how to sell solar and have an in-house solar team? And I'll be your back end office. I'll be your manager. I'll take care of all the stuff you don't want to. Or do you want to just simply ask them if that homeowner is interested in solar and give the lead to us? And we make it sexy, right? We use the right words. We position ourselves in the right place. The homeowner, understands that it's either a part of their business or it's separate, but they give us the lead, right? And that roofer, I have a partnership with, and it's an operating agreement. So either it's a 50-50 partnership or based off of a referral fee or the kilowatts sold, whatever it is. But upfront, that's done. That's taken care of. So the roofer trusts the partnership. And then all we do is come in and do what we do. So the roofer either sells solar themselves, we take care of the back end, or the roofer gives me the lead and I update the roofer. They have a transparent whole CRM that they can see. All the notes are in there. Transparency, right? The initial operating agreement is set up. No questions asked. Transparency in what's happening with the jobs. No question asked. Everybody gets paid at the end of the deal. So that's how our RoofX Solar, the company I'm really focused on right now, is set up. It's really to empower roofers one way or another to add solar, because it's a no-brainer. And I use no-brainer because that's what roofers are telling me after I speak with them. They go, this is a no-brainer. I go, yes. How would you like to structure it? What works best for you? So that's what we're doing now. To go off of what you said, like let's use an out-of-the-box example. If I'm a painter, I should be adding decks or windows to my offering. Now, I got a guy, right? Every time I used to sell windows and someone would ask me, do you have a plumber? Do you have a do you have a handyman? Yeah, I got a guy. I'll give you his phone number and they do whatever they want with it. I have no idea what happened. Do they get the deal? Did they not? All I know is I wasn't compensated. I didn't get anything. And marketing is extremely expensive, right? I should probably get, not because I'm greedy, but because I'm doing the work, right? I'm invested in someone else's handyman business or window business. So why don't you create a partnership or an LLC even with them and say, yeah, I'm a window guy and I know a window cleaning guy, right? And every time I send a window cleaning guy to you and he cleans your window, I get the marketing fee and he gets his usual profit from the job. Or I'm a painter. Yeah, we can build a deck. I actually have a deck company. My painting company is called Harmony Painting, but I've got Harmony Deck with somebody else and their deck. You know what I'm saying? Like you can kind of start to get strategic with your partnerships so you can take advantage of always being right in front of a homeowner. And you can start like that. That's why we're starting with RoofX Solar. No brainer, right? So go after the first no brainer partnerships. But when you're walking into a home as a salesperson of a home improvement industry, start to think differently. Start to think of how you can capitalize on it and add value. I don't look at it like greedy. I look at it like I'm adding value to somebody else's business because we have a partnership now. I'm going to give them 12 referrals this year. That's huge.
Yeah, and people really like that. Once they have a customer or a a contractor, I should say, that they're working with and they're happy with it, man, that is powerful because people are comfortable. When they're comfortable, they spend more. They're happy. They want to work with people they trust. So that's a no-brainer. That's been said a million times. So if you can use that and serve your customers better, and I like the way that you're saying, because there's a mindset component to this. The mindset things that pop in tell you, oh, that's greedy. I love that you pointed that out, because if you can't get over that spot, if that's a hiccup in the mental side of things, you really have to dive deep and understand, where is that narrative coming from? Because it's really not, it's the value add. So when we talk about mindset and strategy, it's really making sure that your mindset understands and you're not talking yourself out of these potential opportunities.
Yeah. So, two of the first sales calls I had for RoofX Solar were like old school guys, and they were just a no. They were like, no, not interested. And I'm like, what? This is crazy to me. Why are you a no? Well, I dug deeper with them and they thought I was trying to rip them off. Right? Totally got it. No big deal. They thought I was being greedy. But there is that, like, either a growth mindset and a partnership that's clear, or like you just think someone's being greedy. Like, that's something you got to get over and handle. But that's something that we've kind of evolved inside of our business, in our offering, of where that's clear now. Because that does come up for me, is like, I don't want to be perceived as greedy. I want to perceive as someone who adds value to a company, but also gets paid what they're worth. And it's kind of a perfect marriage when you hit the right spot. So I think you nailed it.
When you look at value add, because again, I know there's contractors that are listening and going to be listening that say, what impact is that? So just a rough number that you would say, again, it doesn't have to be in your specific area, but what's the value add? Is it 10% of maybe what their revenue is doing? Is it 50%? Is it doubling their revenue? Like what type of numbers are we looking at percentage wise?
This show is brought to you by Momentum U. If you are an owner and you're ready to scale up and break past recurring challenges, it's time to start studying you. You are the only common piece between all your success and recurring challenges. You are the only person that can unlock your untapped momentum. Let us show you how. Go to www.startthemo.com to learn more.
With just roofing and solar particularly?
Yeah. So let's say a painting contractor, we can even use that as an example, but you say, if they're doing painting, if they get into this and understand what they're doing and find a good channel partner, people always want to know, how much could that increase my business? How much percentage wise? If they're doing X, that adds 25% or 50%. So what would you say there? I mean, I know it's a range, but.
Yeah, that's a tough answer, or it's a tough question to answer. But I would say a good number would just be like between 10 and 20%. If you think about the clients that you have. I know I'm just looking at my house. Like, if somebody came in here, a contractor, they could sell me on a few things that I know that I need. I just haven't done it, and it hasn't been convenient. Well, you're convenient. You're right there. They trust you. They like you. I got a refrigerator guy. I got an HVAC guy. I got a da-da-da guy. I got a flooring guy. But you also establish yourself as someone who is tapped in to the industry, to your home improvement needs. So I actually have a handyman who I go to first, because I know that he is the guy that has all the guys, and he'll look at everything and say that's legit or that's not legit. So that's kind of who you become for homeowners. Imagine doing that for 5 years, for 10 years, and you're getting all these calls and you have all these partnerships set up. You could double your business by literally just saying, go there or go there or go there, or call this guy or text this guy. So I would say at first, your first year, it's not going to be huge, but over time, the compound effect is real if you establish yourself this way. I have a business partner of mine who that's all he does now, because he's older and wiser and experienced, but he has partnerships with people around the country, and he's kind of like the go-to guy. So I would say it's a long-term play. You can get compensated immediately. And I would say initially 10 to 20%, but over time, you're talking about doubling potentially your business.
And that's really a great point. And I love the way that you broke that down. And here's why. there's a lot of businesses out there that get stuck at a certain revenue. And if they have, let's say you have 10 guys or 50 guys or 100 guys, or you have 5 guys, whatever your number is, when you're listening. But it's the idea of saying, do I want to add another 10 guys or 10 team members, whatever it may be? And some may say, no, I don't want to do that. But what if you just do, like you're talking about, the value add? So if you build that up and you say, okay, well, I'm going to partner with the person that does decks, and every place that you paint, you let them know about the deck. Eventually, you're going to get that deck, as long as you did good on your end of the bargain. And that's exciting. And that's a way that you can grow your business. And when we were first talking about, I'm like, people need to hear this, because you can take whatever you're doing in revenue and add 25 to 50% of it if you build strategic partnerships. And it's so missed, so underutilized. And I love that you brought it up and are sharing it, because it's for the contractor that's sitting there say, how do I generate more revenue without adding an additional expense? Boom, this is it. But there's one other thing that I'd like, your input on and in this process. So I'd like you to talk to me a little bit about what that looks like when you go into the customer, how you're approaching it. And we're kind of brainstorming, like, okay, this is a company that it could be the painting company or whatever. How are you approaching it that you're adding it? When in the process do you do it? Is it at the end? Is it at the beginning? And then what training goes in? Because somebody's listening to this saying that they're the owner and they're not the salesperson. What does that take to be able to be good at the value add part?
Yeah, that's something you need to develop yourself in, for sure. And you need to practice it, and you need to bring a unique offer to the marketplace. And a part of that unique offer is how you present it. So it's different for everybody. I would say, just kind of like spitballing with you, I would do it at the end after the sale is done or after the install is done. I would develop. So one thing we do that brings value to roofers is we develop your whole landing page for you. That's separate from your website, but it shows all your value adds. And it's very easy for a homeowner to click on it and fill it out. So they can literally just click on it and leave you a 5-star review. And then if you're a roofer and you do Christmas lights in the winter and it's October, they're like, oh, you do Christmas lights? Babe, should we have them do our Christmas lights? All right, we're going to fill this out, right? Like, so it's timing. It's not the main thing you do, but it's the thing that they're going to remember. So you leave them with something, you use a landing page, you for sure mention it maybe a few times, but not like, your main objection there is to do the best paint job possible or put the best roof on possible. And then you go, by the way, right, check out this landing page we have. So these are all of our partnerships we have. Do you need any of these before I leave? And would you mind leaving us a 5-star review real quick? We did a good job for you, right? Blah, 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 blah. So it's kind of like that, Seth. But I would say I would really want to look at your business first, look at how you do things, how you operate, and then let's strategize on the best way to make sure the add-on is working and efficient, not just like I showed the homeowner this, they didn't do anything. Like you can imagine reps coming back and saying that. So no, there's a way to do it. You got to develop yourself in it. And I just spitballed some ideas. So that's kind of what it looks like, but it'll vary a little bit.
Yeah, and the other thing that I'm hearing in this, what you're saying, is the process. So you have a process that's simple that your partners can execute. And it's an easy way to give them something that the customer then can go to a landing page and actually purchase it. And you may or may not be coordinating it. So for in your situation, you're handling it there, but it sounds like the key to what you do is making it easy. You're making it easy for the customer, and your channel partner, instead of just having a stack of your business cards, you're making a way, hey, just even if it's a business card or your scan, you had the watch, I believe, maybe you can talk about that, but how that connects to make it super simple so that the referral and everything is just so easy that your customer can buy, and that contractor that's referring you feels good doing it.
Yeah. So you hit the nail on the head with like, it needs to occur as seamless, the process. And I believe in using the best technology available, as long as it's not too expensive. And if it's within your budget, we make it extremely, extremely affordable with the way we've set it up. But we use this cool wrist. Look at, I got wristbands right here that say RoofX Solar or Got Solar or ADT or whatever our clients are using at the time. And this has an NFC chip in it. And I say, I wow the homeowner. Before I ask for anything, I go, you want to see something cool? Check this out. I'm just sitting there and they're like in their kitchen, at their kitchen table with them. And I go, get your phone out. I put my wristband up to their phone. Here comes our landing page. I was like, okay, so this is cool, right? So if you need anything, here's our information. Did we do like, would you leave us a 5-star review? You can be honest with me. Did I do anything that offended you? Okay, good. Leave a 5-star review. And then I want you to let you know that we also added solar as a service. Right now we're doing complimentary solar system reviews in your area. So sign up for that now. We do Christmas lights in the winter time, and we've got a deck guy who does Trek decks, and it's unbelievable. So I just wanted you to let you know. Go ahead and leave us a 5-star review. I'll jump outside and sign up for solar too, and I'll come back in and just let you know that we wrapped up and we're all good. Blah 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 blah. Right? But you wow them a little bit, right? I'm still wowed by QR codes every time I go to a restaurant. I'm like, this is just the coolest thing. Look at this. I got a menu on my phone, right? And it's easy and it's simple. And then you're wearing a wristband or a lanyard that we custom make for you that goes to the custom landing page. You're walking around town, you're just out and about. It's easy to talk about what you do because people ask you. You don't want to force things down people's throat, but if you're asked, hey, you just got the gateway to just let it rip, right? And really enroll them in what you're up to. So that's how I would do it. And it's different for everyone, Seth, but that's how we're doing it successfully right now.
So I would say if you're a roofer, don't wait any longer. You need to connect with Shane because you're letting revenue on the table. That is a no-brainer. It just makes sense. And if you're another contractor, look for channel partners that you can do this with. And, I'll just kind of go back to that a little bit. What are some other, if you were advising a business owner in a service business, what's the easiest way to find, we said no-brainer solutions, but what is it that is there a couple steps or a couple recommendations that you can do? Say, hey, I am a, blacktop guy, or I do concrete. How do they start this process to find channel partners? Is it just calling up some other people and brainstorming, or what advice would you give?
Yeah. So to start with, look at what do your clients ask you about already. That's easy. So when I was in the window business, they asked me about roofs. They asked me about window cleaning all the time. And then HVAC every once in a while. So I have friends in those industries. If you don't have friends in those industries, LinkedIn and Facebook are a great way to meet people or call people that are closest to you in your actual area. Start small, but let them know like, hey, I get asked about this all the time. Would you be open to a partnership? Maybe find out what their CAC is, cost of acquisition. What's your CAC? I'll take that $1,500 every time I give you something, right? You get an easy laydown of a lead. It's the easiest sale. We kind of joke now. It's kind of like when roofers give us solar or when a roofer has a lead that's solar. It's kind of like more like taking an order than selling. It's just that simple. It's very easy and streamlined. So sorry, I'll get back to the question. That's how I would start, Seth. What are your clients already asking you? How can you provide more value to them? And then just find somebody that's local or that you like to work with. And then probably one of the most important things is to set up an operating agreement up front and either create an LLC or a way to transparently view the leads you're getting or that you're giving so that there's no questions. You never want to have a panic or a distrust or anything like that. You want it to be clean and clear. So it's a lot about how you set it up and establish the agreement up front. And then ride the horse in the direction it's going. If you're a window guy, get a window cleaning guy and a roof guy or a gutter guy. There's this new cool thing called trim lights. It's year-long lighting on homes that I think is amazing. I'm going to dip my toe into it next year. Not this year, I got too much going on, but I'm like, if I was a roofer or a gutter guy, that's a no-brainer to add that. Like I would love to add that. Even a painter, because that's also going to feed your business in the winter time. I live in Colorado. So like we have this time where it's really cold out, and the painters that I'm friends with and know, the roofers I'm friends with and know, they kind of take time off. And that's okay if you want to do that. But if you want to keep installers busy or people that want to work busy, add something simple like that that's fun and easy.
Yeah, great points. So just a couple quick fire questions, at the end, first thing that, comes to your mind. The construction industry would be better if
people had operating agreements set up initially.
Good one. I like it. I can build blank in my sleep.
A sales script.
That's very important. If you can't sell it, you're not getting, nothing else is moving. So that's awesome. My biggest challenge is
owning my weaknesses.
Biggest skill is
building relationships.
the last thing you bought on Amazon.
I think it was dog food.
That's always a good one. You never know where that one's going to take you.
Yeah.
Cabin or beach house?
I'm a beach house guy. My wife's a cabin gal, so we're getting a cabin.
There you go. That's funny. Favorite brand of equipment?
Favorite brand of equipment?
Yep.
Like in construction or just in general?
Yeah, construction, vehicles, any brand that you're
Oh,
associated with?
Tesla.
Tesla? Awesome.
Yeah.
Tech
Yeah.
guy.
Mm-hmm.
I want other business owners to know this.
They can fulfill on what they initially started their business for. So real quick, you start your business and you're excited and you're fulfilling on something that's important to you, and it gets really tainted and you get really resigned really quickly. Stick to your why. You can make your dreams come true. You can retire in your business. You can build it to sell. You can make it happen. You can. You just got to build a team around you. You got to go to those dark places of your business. You got to shine light on them. You got to do what I'm working on right now, is complementing my weaknesses with the people around me. I'm not trying to get better at them. I'm like, no, I need you. I need you. I need you. You can do it.
That's great advice. I want to thank you so much for being on this show today, Shane. I think this is so important to get out there. I'm glad you're talking about it. I really, really appreciate it. Can you just give a shout out where people can find you?
Yeah. Definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. We have a Facebook group called RoofX Nation, and you can email me at Shane, SHANE, at roofxsolar.com. Whether you're in the industry, like the solar and roofing industry or not, I'd be happy to help you and chat with you and talk and, see how I can add value to your business. So really appreciate it, Seth.
Thanks again for being here.
Thanks for listening. Like and share with other contractors. Start studying you to unlock your momentum. Go to www.startthemo.com to learn more.